And she told me about it, and I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm in. So then I started getting my license, and then I passed my test the first time and just went straight into it. I had a client before I was ready to go.
I'm excited to welcome one of our top producing agents, Felicia Cobb. I've got a few stats about you. Are you ready?
Yes, let's hear it.
In the past 5 years, you've sold over 103 homes at over $37 million in sales volume. That's huge.
That's not right.
It's not?
No, I've sold way more than that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
How much?
Like 150 or more.
That blew my whole stats.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so did you do
Homes.com.
MLS and our MLS?
Well, I thought they pulled from both.
No,
No.
no.
Okay,
Well,
then.
way more than that.
Well, let's just figure out how many then. 175. We'll just say that.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds great.
All right, good.
I'm getting there anyway.
So, what were you doing prior to real estate?
Most recently, I had a clothing boutique and sold out of my house and on Facebook and Facebook groups, and I would do like Facebook Lives and show the clothes and would have like little numbers attached, and people would call out sold in the comments. And
No way.
I would just hang them up and then go back later and look for the number and invoice people. And then before that, I was a legal assistant for the Department of Justice and a 911 dispatcher and all kinds of random customer
Wow.
service type stuff
How long were you a dispatcher?
for 6 years.
Wow. Did you have any crazy stories?
Well, Thanksgiving is coming up, and this will be a nice one. I had a family argue over whose turkey they were going to cook for Thanksgiving. They had both gotten a turkey from a food bank, and mom and daughter, and they were doing Thanksgiving together, and they argued over whose they were going to cook, and it ended up being a domestic violence situation. We had to send the police to go chill them out.
No way.
Yeah.
That's the holidays, though, right? What made you want to get into real estate? What started that?
Well, I bought my first house when I was 21, and that was in 2009, and the crash had happened, just before that. And just before that happened, my husband, he wanted to buy a house, all of his friends were, and so we started looking, and it just didn't feel right, and I don't really know why. And so I was like, no,
The process?
just the houses and the cost, and I'm not sure. And so I was like, let's wait. And then the crash happened, and the town that we lived in, it had so many new developments and new builds, and when that happened, there was just, we could look at 30 houses in a day. And so we started doing that, and we could just go in a cul-de-sac and see almost every single one. And then I found a model that I liked, and I told my realtor, when that one comes up, that's the one that I want. And then it came up, and then we got in a bidding war. It was a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home with all of the upgrades that it could have, and it was listed for $94,000. We got in a bidding war, got it for $125,000.
Wow.
But it had originally sold when it was new for like $362. And like that was a lot back then. That's a decent price now, but now it's going for like 650. And it's been really interesting because you can look at the Zillow and you can follow how the market's been and how you just get past that little slump and then it goes back up
Right.
in price. So
Yeah.
you just got to get through those.
Was that here in Salem?
It was in Arizona.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's amazing what 350 looks like right now.
yeah.
It's insane.
But how did I get into real estate? So back then I was considering it, but we weren't supposed to stay in Arizona. And then when we did move back, I considered it again, but it just wasn't the right time. And then I was going through divorce, and I had been working for myself, doing the clothing boutique, and I didn't want to go back working for the state. And so I called up my friend, and I was like, okay, tell me about it again. And she told me about it, and I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm in. So then I started getting my license, and then I passed my test the first time and just went straight into it. I had a client before I was ready to go.
Wow. Wow. So what year were you licensed?
2019.
Okay. Yeah, wow. Um, so how did you first find Realty One Group?
So, some girlfriends and I, we were considering leaving the first brokerage that I had been at, and we were researching the ones in town. And Realty One was new and it had a really good reputation, and we wanted to go somewhere that had a good reputation. And we interviewed with you, and
Oh, I remember that day.
yeah.
There was five of you guys staring at me. All the list of questions. I'm like, what?
What can you do for
Yeah, right.
us?
Yeah, that was crazy. God, that was like 3 years ago, I think, right? I think you joined us in 2020.
Yeah, December
Yeah.
2020.
So we got to talk about the tattoos for sure, right? And I know you probably get a million questions about them. So just what is your favorite one? Is there one that you regret? And do you have more coming?
Yes, I have a tattoo appointment on Sunday,
You
actually.
do?
Yes. My favorite tattoo is this sleeve. If I could start all over, I would just do everything cohesive, and I don't like that my tattoos aren't cohesive.
Hmm.
And I used to give advice, make sure you like something for at least a year before you put it on your body.
Hmm.
Well, I loved all my tattoos for way longer than that, and then I loved them while I had them, and now I don't. So just
Interesting.
do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But yeah, I've got some dumb $25 tattoos that they're just I would start over. I'm
Right.
gonna cover some of them and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to get one. I know what I want it to be. I just need to have somebody sketch it or at least give me some ideas, you know? But I haven't done it, but
You should do
I'm
it.
planning. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm
Very
going to do it.
addicting, though.
Yes. That's what it looks like, right? Okay, so one question about your comment about Dave Ramsey. Do you care to elaborate a little bit on that?
So everybody looks up to Dave Ramsey as being this like money guru, and his biggest thing, at least from what I've heard, is don't carry credit
Yeah.
and get out of debt. And my biggest goal was to pay off my house because I thought that that would be like the goal.
Hmm.
And I really struggled with that because when interest rates were amazing a couple years ago, I had to refinance my house because I was going through a divorce and I had to get it in my name. And I could have either paid off my house, I was so close to it, or refinance my house, have that lower rate, and then do something else with my money. And after talking with so many different financial people, they all say, you know, use credit in a good way.
Hmm.
And so that's what I decided to do. So instead of putting all my money into my house, now I have a low payment and then I'm reinvesting that money elsewhere, which is giving me more money in my pocket because of interest rates. But also you have to be super careful with credit because some people they get themselves in trouble. But for me, like I'll pay off everything that I can, bills and everything, with my credit card, and then I will pay off my credit card before it's due, so that there's no interest accumulated. But then now I'm getting all those cash back points,
Right.
and then I'm making money.
Yeah.
So
And it's crazy how much you can get in those rewards. I mean, it's
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. So he has a good plan for most people, but if you are conscious about investments and spending money appropriately and using credit only to your advantage and not falling back on it, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in real estate. I mean, because you can spread yourself out into investment properties. And I mean, you're not going to buy those, cash them out. I mean, you've got to have some leverage in them unless you're, super loaded.
Yeah.
So what is your take on this market right now?
The market's hard.
Hmm.
It's been super interesting the last few years, and right now it's tough. And I think the people that are passionate about it are going to continue to stay afloat and work and do great. And as far as like buyers and sellers, it's great for buyers.
Mm-hmm.
For sellers, we just have to really educate them on being realistic
Right.
with prices and how things are, and get them to really understand, especially a lot of our buyers that are ready to cash in their first time starter home that they bought during COVID. Now they're ready to move up, and things are totally different from how they were in
Yeah.
COVID. So
Oh yeah, you get repairs. You get
closing costs
yeah.
paid. For if you needed closing costs, it's like, well, I'll try so hard for you. I'll do my best,
Yeah.
but it's going to be really hard. And now, if you need closing costs or a rate buy down, and it's like, all right, let's just go shop.
Yeah. No, I think right now is the best time in a long time because you do get those concessions and you'll be, I mean, we see like roofs being put on houses now. And still getting some concession at closing. And what's gonna happen as soon as the rates get down, it's gonna be crazy
It's going
again.
to boom back just like COVID, and
Yeah.
then everybody's going to complain about they don't want to pay over ask.
Right.
And but that's what got us where we were. So
Yeah. I remember houses going on the market for like 420 and closing at like 500. And the sellers didn't have to do a thing.
no.
Like just take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now they are. So I just think it's real. The market is tough, but no matter what, people are going to have to buy and sell. So you just, as a realtor, I have to do my best to educate my buyers and my sellers
Right.
on what the market's like. And
Yeah. It's funny. Like we have a lot of agents that are, doing okay through all this, and it's just they're totally back to the basics, like how they used to run their business, and they're doing a lot more obviously open houses. You see tons of those now, and yeah, it's definitely a different time. But like you said, they're still selling houses. So I got a funny question to ask. If you were to move to a city where you knew nobody, not a soul, and you had $500, what would you do to get something closed in 90 days? So you'd have to be under contract, what, like 45?
so I built my business based on relationships. And so that's what I would do. I would start putting myself out there and meeting other moms or people that I feel like I could relate to. So I'd probably take my kids to like play parks or jump houses or whatever there was, and then just start striking up conversations with other moms around me.
Yeah.
And not only for business, but just because I like to have a community.
Right.
And once you find a good friend and then get introduced to others, and I think that's really just a snowball of it. For me, it's about building relationships and people knowing me, loving me, trusting me, and that's what's going to sell me on somebody
Right.
wanting to use me.
Right.
So I think I would spend my money by taking my kids to do fun things
Yeah.
and getting out of, comfort zones and start
Right.
talking to people I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. The whole buying the leads thing's just it just
I mean, it
it's
can
hard.
work. It can work, but everybody knows 10 agents usually, and so
Yeah. And you're big into social media. And don't you manage a Facebook group? And have you done that for a while?
yeah. I run a Facebook moms group. It's just a chat group for moms Salem and surrounding, and most of the people that I know have come from that group.
Wow.
And just facilitating somewhere for people to ask questions about anything parent related, mom related, Salem related, or even relationships, whatever. Like it's just a chat group.
Right.
And, that's been fun for me.
So did you start it, or how did you get
No,
to
I have a
managing
friend.
it?
I have a friend that started it, and then it just grew and grew and grew, and so we needed more admins. And then the last few years, she hasn't been involved, and so it's just basically been mine. And then I took on some new admins to help me with it.
So is that just to review posts, or what's the admin part
Yeah,
do?
because I've got post approval on, because people will ask questions that aren't necessary, or like, so we get a lot of scammers, or people that ask the same questions, or like things that aren't allowed. Like we don't allow selling. So like the group is literally just a chat group, but people know me from it, and they only know that I'm a realtor if maybe somebody tags me in a post saying
Oh.
I'm looking for a realtor, or if they're friends with me and on like my normal profile. And but I'm only friends with people that I've actually met in person, or I've had like an established conversation with, that I
Right.
want to, show my life to. Because like my Facebook, I'm of the Facebook generation. My Facebook is kind of like my diary. Like I show my kids and my life, and so I only want certain people to see that.
Right. Yeah. So how many are in that Facebook group?
I think we've got like 6,700 right
Holy
now.
cow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why you need so many admins managing all the
Yeah.
the
Because people
posts.
get in fights. People like to post controversial things just to get a rile, and then
And they like to see
it starts a big
themselves.
old thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What would be your advice for a brand new agent, newly licensed, right out of the school?
I say like leverage your social media. If you're not on it, start posting if you feel comfortable. I mean, that's kind of how I've been able to kind of keep afloat, but I've always been on social media ever since it started. And but just don't be spammy about it.
Right. Right.
Like post about your family and what's going on in your life, and then every once in a while trickle in something about real estate, because it's kind of about staying top of mind.
Yeah.
But also I'm so tired of being sold to, and that's what social media feels like for me, especially over the last 10 something years. Everybody is selling something, and you'll get those random messages from people that you haven't heard from.
Right.
And it's like, what do you want? You go and look at their profile. Oh, they're selling something. That's why they're messaging me. And just be genuine.
I think LinkedIn's the worst for that. I feel like it's just spam city in your inbox. Do you do LinkedIn at all?
No, not. I have a profile, but it's not updated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know much about LinkedIn. But then
Always
also,
somebody trying to sell something.
for a new agent, I would also tell them to let all their friends and family know
Right.
what they're doing, because those are the people that are going to want to use you, the people who like, know, and trust you
Yep.
already.
Yeah, that's the key, I think, for everybody right now. Now's a great time to get your CRM dialed in and update your sphere list, and come up with content for the next year, and make a plan, and not everyone's so busy right now, so it's a great time to do it.
Yeah. And then my other advice would be to interview lots of agencies and find one that fits good for you.
Right.
My first agency, I just went on because I knew the people who worked there, and it was great. It was perfect for me starting out. It kind of worked as like a team, and everything was paid for, and me coming out of the situation that I was in, that's what I
That
needed.
worked. Right. Yeah.
And then after I kind of outgrew that model, that's when I, found you guys, and I've stuck since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you have. And I think that's huge, in those like mastermind real estate groups. You follow those, and they always ask, what's your favorite CRM? It drives me crazy. But you see that all the time, like, what brokerage should I go to? And to me, it's got to be where, one, you feel like, you're part of the group or the team, and also the management and the support and all that is huge, and not every brokerage is the same, and that you really need to go out and interview everybody, and I think that's really important as well. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you so much for being our first guest. I'm excited about your 175 sales. I'm going to go check them all out now. And we'll update it in the comments, right? We'll get it dialed in. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That was fun. First podcast. Some stats about our first guest. In the past 5 years, she sold over 103 homes. What?
I was gonna take them from you too.
You do that to me all the time.